In Naples, the perfect pizza is cooked in a wood-fired oven. At Willow Street, our new pizzas, like our Dolce Picante, are also cooked in a wood-fired oven. The perfect pizza. It's closer than you think. Hello and welcome to Jazz Tonight. I'm Michael Jacobi, executive producer of Jazz on the Plazz and host of Raising the Standards on KCAT Radio Santa Cruz. With me today as we continue our summer homage to the great Duke Ellington is, if there were a People's Choice Award for Jazz on the Plazz, Bria Skonberg won it last year.
Aww.
And that's why she's back.
Yay,
Good
thank
to see
you.
darling.
Good to be here.
You look great.
Thank you,
Darling, I'm such a dinosaur. Listen to me talk. It is so, and first of all, for folks who've been about town to see the cover of Los Gatos magazine, you look great.
Thanks, I haven't seen it yet.
You're a cover girl.
Wow.
Vocalist, arranger, writer, cover girl.
It's all downhill from here.
I love it. The quadruple threat. What are you up to?
Well, I have so much stuff going on these days. Lots of touring, playing. Summer always means festivals, and especially like the event here tonight, which I've been looking forward to since I was here last year. Outdoor summer concerts are always the most
1,000
fun.
degrees.
It's really hot, but the music I like to play is hot too. Yeah. It's steamy, and it just kind of gets everybody grooving a little bit more together. I'm okay with that.
We'll make our usual disclaimer that by the time you see this, it's too late. She will already have been here. And she was wonderful. And go home and kick yourself as you're watching this interview. Okay, so last year, and all kidding aside, you absolutely wowed the fans. And to give an idea of how good you were and how wonderful the reception was, is the people behind the stage gave you a standing ovation. And the people behind the stage don't know there's a show going on.
The cheap seats.
They have no idea. They're there to drink Brie, or to drink Chardonnay, rather eat Brie and talk.
Well, I remember that.
Woke them up.
I like it's almost a 360 kind of setup. Yeah. And so it's an added challenge, but a fun one to figure out how can I incorporate all these things. And this year I have a wireless microphone, so I could be on the other side of the park by the end of the show. I don't know.
Is it the nature of a solo career that something will happen, a review will hit, a record will hit, and all of a sudden, overnight, things are changing quick?
Well, some exciting things are happening right now. I don't know if you know of this news yet, but last year I was here and I was crowdfunding for an album, and I raised money through a wonderful community on Pledge Music, and I recorded the album in August, and it was produced by someone named Matt Pearson, who's a wonderful person, just a great mentor and friend, and he brought it to record labels, and I've since been signed by Sony Records.
Good for you.
Yeah. So the album that everybody...
which is such a rarity these days, to actually have a label. And so many people say, I like the control of producing my own. And that's true to an extent, but the reading between the lines is, boy, I'd sure like to have a record label.
Sure, yeah, no, I feel like the team of people I've been working with do care about how I want to, how I want to present myself and how the music is going to come about in the next rounds.
But let's talk a little bit about that relation with the label.
Sure.
The 50s and 60s, the label kind of ran the artist, sort of reprise and stuff. How much input do you have? Do you sign a multi-CD deal when you go in?
Yeah. Well, it's, the way that it works is that they release some albums, and then we're already planning on the next one, and then they have an option. There's a certain amount of time that can go by when they can pick up the next option, because it also gives you the freedom to go, if I'm not happy with this, I can kind of look around a little bit too.
Could they take the stuff that you produced independently, re-release it on the label?
No,
would they go back to your old stuff?
That catalog, I own the songwriting in those, but that also the other label that I was with, Random Act Records, they have masters rights on those too, but that's okay. Honestly, the record labels to me are not the bad guys. Not at this point. Everybody in the music business is really hurting, but it helps if we want to work together. I do feel like I'm steering the boat creatively and input-wise, and also, I'm just at a point in my career when I know what I want to do, and I'm not afraid to speak up if that's what I want, But I do feel like I'm being well supported, and they just want to take it and run with it and get the word out there with people. And, I want the label to make money too. I really do.
Artistically, though, when you sign, and I'm not going to belabor the point, but when you sign, do you get an artistic director who says, here's what we ought to do? Or do they make general suggestions to you?
I mean, absolutely, they make suggestions, and I hope they do.
If some of them said, "Yeah, I hadn't thought of that."
Yeah, well, actually, what happened is Matt Pearson, the guy who produced the last album, we're already working on the next one. He's an A&R consultant for them now as well, kind of part-time. So we're just following up. You know, we said if it's not broken, don't fix it. Let's see where we go from here.
Is it out now?
No, it'll be officially released on September 23rd, but you'll hear.
Which I'm sure you'll hear the announcement on Raising the Standards on my radio show.
Great, yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get you a copy in advance,
and you'll be on live.
Yeah, we'll play a bit of it tonight.
Tell me about the CD.
I'm excited. It's really, you know, it's very, you know, in the jazz realm. I assembled a wonderful band. Ali Jackson is on drums. He plays with Jazz Lincoln Center full time. Reginald Veal on bass. Aaron Deal on piano. He plays a lot with Cecile McLaurin and Salvant. And Stefan Harris on vibraphone. And then my friend Evan Arntzen on clarinet and saxophone that was here last year. And
mixture of your stuff and standard?
Yeah, there are, I think, 5 original songs on this one. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to doing some more writing. Also, the label's been really encouraging of me writing my own material and stuff too. So they're not trying to make it any specific cookie cutter sort of thing. I don't think the trumpet lends itself to that.
Is it? You strike me, and from our conversations over the last few years, to be very savvy on what sells, what markets. And I say that because you could have an option of doing all new material, but it seems to me that it's important to you that you do some standards so that there's some comfort range in between the new things you're introducing.
Yeah, I mean, I think my goal is to reach people, and people are most, you know, they'll react to things that they're familiar with. And so what's neat is that now, as you know, I'm finding fun ways to incorporate even songs from like the baby boom era or the 50s, 60s, 70s in with classic standards, in with the original material that I'm doing, just to reach more people and hopefully bring them in. And that's not to say that I don't enjoy it, because everything that I put out musically, I honestly love.
We were talking to Cheryl Bentine from the Manhattan Transfer when she was here with Mark Winkler about New York City, and we're talking to the Duchess girls, whom you know well. Is there enough business in New York as a soloist that you can make a full-time gig out of it?
I think so. I know a lot of people that do it, and there's not a lot of places in the world.
Have you found a club that you've attached yourself? You play Dizzy's a lot?
Yeah, you kind of get different homes in different places. I have a good relationship with Dizzy's and the Jazz Standard, and I just played at Joe's Pub on Monday night, which was a lot of fun.
That's kind of a strange place, isn't it?
Yeah, I like.
It looks like a multiplex theater when you walk in.
Yeah, I think we just keep good relationships with a lot of the different clubs, and then depending on the music that I want to present, you think about what would be the best room for this. But yeah, they're very open for it. But I think a lot of musicians, if you're going to do the full-time gigging in New York thing, you just have to be versatile and spend a lot of time, running around in transit. And there are a lot of different kinds of work. But that's why we live there. It's so interesting.
I saw you in Tribeca with actually Alexis Cole, who was closing our season this year. Who's a wonderful singer.
Yeah.
I think she went to West Point. Excuse me. She's very interesting.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, she was the vocalist with the Army Band, I believe, for quite a while. And and her new album with Bucky Pizzarelli is wonderful, and she's just a sweetheart. Great voice.
It's only an 80-year-old Jewish guy coughing and drinking on the air.
Schwitzen. We're schwitzing. It's hot.
Yeah. Hello, how are you? Let's talk for a minute. We're going to take a break in a second, but I want to do a quick reboot and revisit to your days growing up in the igloo in Canada. It wasn't that rough.
It wasn't. It was not this hard.
Did you grow up in Toronto?
I grew up in Chilliwack, British Columbia.
Chilliwack. So I get those in big towns mixed up.
So if you get on the I-5 from here, it'll take about 17 hours, I think, if you just drove straight. I did that a lot, actually, because when growing up in British Columbia, the next closest Canadian city is like a 13-hour drive east in Alberta. So just, by going south, I could hit Seattle and Portland. And then when I got to California, I was always happy to see palm trees and sunshine.
Was first exposure to jazz through your folks, your dad, your parents were big music fans? Actually,
my parents were very big music fans. But they were public school teachers, and it was my public schools where I got really involved and introduced to jazz. Just great teachers, jazz band, and my hometown Chilliwack had a jazz festival, a Dixieland Jazz Festival. Yeah, so then they had a combo. through the school that I would learn how to play stuff like Louis Armstrong transcriptions and things at that age, which I just feel really fortunate because, it's the beginning of jazz education. That's how I learned how to improvise.
Well, it's nice that Canada is well ahead of us in the wisdom of keeping music classes and music in the school.
Yeah, well, hopefully. There's not much else to do. We can't go outside. It's so cold there.
We're with Bria Skonberg. When you take a break, I want to take a moment to thank the good folks at Willow Street Wood-Fired Pizza for sponsoring Jazz Tonight. KCAT Television 15 for being the vehicle that you can see this show. My friend Melissa, our executive producer, is so happy that Bria brought her trumpet with her today, and we'll play a little trumpet in a little while. Take a quick break. You're watching Jazz Tonight.
Hey, come here. You know why I bring my folks here so often? Because Willow Street has the best kids menu in town. And kids eat free on Tuesdays. Thank you. You're welcome. Now that's what I'm talking about. Can I get a wine list? Never mind.
In New York, the perfect pizza is prepared with fresh, creative toppings. At Willow Street, our new pizzas, like our prosciutto di Parma and gorgonzola, also feature fresh, creative toppings. The perfect pizza. It's closer than you think. Welcome back to Jazz Tonight. Michael Jacobi, executive producer of Jazz on the Plazz, with you. And a quick reminder, this is our 6th concert, so incredibly, the summer is flying by, but there's still time to help support Los Gatos Music and Arts by buying a jazz card. It costs you $100, a simple C note, and it's worth $700. How tough is this? Pretty simple concept. You give us $100, we give you $700. Go buy a card. Bria Skonberg with us. And I should point out is that I've had a tradition for the last, 8-10 years, that once a year we would bring back somebody the following year that wowed the crowd and actually was heard by the back of the stage people. And you were just such a marvelous hit.
Thank you.
Does your live performance book change a lot? Do you get bored by it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are people that will do the same thing all the time. And I remember in the old days there would be. We were just talking off screen about Jackie Mason. In the old days, a comedian or a vaudeville guy would write, or a woman would write a 45-minute set and use it for 30 years.
Yeah.
And because there was no Carson, there was no television, and that put a lot of people, and Sinatra even used to change constantly because he'd get very bored doing all the same thing.
Yeah, there are ways to keep it interesting, of course. I mean, if again, writing original songs, there's a personal connection there that's fun. Always, and you think about the different audiences you have and how they haven't necessarily seen some of the shtick, and that's always fun to see the reaction. Also, then just playing it with different people is really interesting. But yeah, I'm always building the book. Kind of.
You do words and music?
Yes.
Yep. Francis Lester.
Yeah.
Now, where did that start? Now, as a young woman did you write poetry in high school, or were you writing songs? Did you start by writing prose?
How did that start? I mean, to be honest, I wasn't as into songwriting all the way through university because I was just sponging, absorbing so much about the jazz history and listening to, I didn't even listen to a lot of contemporary people. I listened to just, lots of old recordings. But then, so after college, once I had that information and all that skill set, those tools, I kind of started to dabble a little bit more in writing. And I actually used the piano to write. It's more interesting, as opposed to the trumpet.
Did you play the piano before the trumpet?
Yeah, I did. I started maybe when I was 7 years old, and that was handy because when I got to playing the trumpet, I already knew how to read the notes and rhythms. So I'd recommend anybody with kids, piano's a great place to start.
Was it a conscious decision to take up the trumpet? We talked about the marketing aspect. Christian Korb told me once, said, when I looked and I realized there weren't a lot of women playing bass and singing Esperanza, it's the same thing. Did you think that out? Say, there aren't a lot of ladies doing the trumpet here.
You know what? It didn't really occur to me. What's really special, I think, about my growth, too, and my relationship, of saying, what's it like to be a female trumpet player? Not that I have anything else to compare it to. But for me, in school, it was never a big deal. There were always 3 or 4 girls in the trumpet section, and basically neither my parents or my teachers addressed us any differently, which is what's important. I think now when band directors say, or parents, what do I tell my female trumpet player? I'm like, don't tell them anything.
What is a female trumpet?
Use a lot of air, yeah.
But the trumpet itself,
Yeah.
From a vocalist standpoint, is basically a rarity. Whether it's Lewis or Chet Baker or
Sure.
but I probably couldn't say name 5.
Yeah,
vocalists
well,
that play the trumpet.
to me it makes a lot of sense because number one, it's about air support, and two, the trumpet's often playing the melody. So that's the part. And meanwhile, learning the lyrics to songs helps me interpret it melodically when I'm playing the trumpet, and my trumpet play, I think, informs the way that I like to phrase melodies when I'm singing them.
I've always wondered, because the older I get, the more I'm obsessed with aging, but I've always wondered, a vocalist at some point, and Tony Bennett is maybe a bit of an exception, but you're going to lose your chops. And I've always felt that, I mean, because I saw Brubeck a lot late in his life. And, I mean, obviously, if your hands still work, you can do that.
Yeah.
I would think that breath would change. But Sonny Rollins, at 85, is still playing great. And I saw Clark Terry before he passed away in a wheelchair. I mean, it was amazing. His body was breaking down, but his breath control was still terrific.
Yeah, playing brass instruments is a really athletic thing, and I think as you know, and I was lucky I studied with Warren Bachet when I got to the East Coast, and he really set me up. You know, it's about being more efficient and playing in ways that are not abrasive, not being Louis strong arm, and pushing it into your face, just being able to just be efficient with it and not use a lot of pressure. I think that's the secret to longevity on that.
Is it? I wish
I don't know. We'll find out
a little earlier.
Yeah.
Do you just swim a lot? Do you
I like to run.
Routine?
Yeah, I run, I exercise. I mean, when I was in high school, I loved playing a lot of sports, and I don't have the time to do that organized now, but I've always been interested in active things.
I know you smoked 2 cigars in the car.
Yeah, you know.
But that doesn't seem to be an issue.
I had something with a company. I don't know.
Well, we keep talking about this alleged trumpet. And since we're playing a little, as I said, homage to Duke, we can maybe hear a little something.
Sure.
What are you going to do? You got some Ellington there?
Well, I do. And I have hidden over here a very special, one of my favorite devices, also one of the cheapest trumpet mutes there are. And it's always important.
You autographed it, or you have your own line.
Well, actually, I'm working on it. Yeah, no, the Pledge Music campaign I had.
Signature bridge.
Yeah, the Pledge Music campaign I had. These were some of the incentives. Like you say, hey, pledge this much and you get something. I was like, well, what can I give? Okay, I'll give you a sink plunger. Yeah, it's always important to match your plunger with your outfit.
That's good.
All right, well, here's a. How about one of my favorite jazz messages and songs that also Duke Ellington played quite a lot. It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. It don't mean a thing, all you've got to do is sing. It makes no difference if it's sweet or hot. Just give that rhythm everything you've got. No, it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing.
Oh,
there you go.
Very nice. You have no idea how happy people listen to the presentation. That is wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you for that. Hey, let's talk a little bit more about Sony, because it's your certainly short-term future, and hopefully it's a long relationship. How does that affect the consumer? Who wants to? Do people, other than the live concerts, do people buy CDs, or they just download individual cuts?
There's a lot of online, downloads definitely. I mean, or just streaming on places like Spotify, and the incremental bits of income you can get from that are pretty wild. Fortunately, I think especially with jazz concerts, the live experience is where people buy a lot of discs, and what that means for me, basically with the label, you get a really great distribution and publicity and promotion and just basically getting that word out to more people. And as an artist, you're juggling so many things, trying to practice, get the band together, get the books together, get the flights booked, get it out there, that's the added bit that doesn't always come so easily. So to have a group of people that are also helping spread the word.
Does Sony provide you with a personal assistant to do those kinds of things?
No, but I have a.
You don't
I've
have
started
like a
using.
young Cabana boy now that can book flights?
No, I do have an assistant now, though, actually, just in the last year, who's been a wonderful help. Just being there to document things, too. I think it all happens so fast, so she'll help take pictures at gigs and help me, manage social media and all that.
Is Virgin Records still open in New York?
I don't know.
Are there any record stores anywhere?
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Not a lot.
Have you thought about doing vinyl? Have you always wanted
Sure.
to release something? Does Sony even open to that? Or is that
Sure, yeah, I think a lot of major labels are, too.
Now they're getting more and more.
Yeah, for different reasons. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's harder to copy a
Yeah, well,
record.
it's amazing because, and we talked about before that we all thought when CDs came out, oh, that's the best. And then when you compare the warmness of vinyl,
Yeah.
is really remarkable. And the fact that the engineers that did vinyl have
Yeah.
a totally different approach.
Well, what's really special too with this, it's Sony Music, it's Masterworks, and the imprint label is OK, like Louis used to record on too. So that's the jazz realm of that. So
Have you gone
I'd love
to
to see that on a record.
Have you
Sure.
gone to the house in Queens?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Louis Armstrong Museum. I highly recommend it.
Yes.
Get back to it. It's wonderful.
Yeah, actually, in this last year, I did a lot of educational type outreach as well, and I started a camp. My friend Molly and I started the New York Hot Jazz Camp,
Okay.
which we had our first run in May, which was so much fun. It was an adult camp to start, and you just reminded me because the mandatory activity was we all went to the Louis Armstrong house on
Now, are they
Boss
doing
days.
performances now in the yard?
Yep,
They were
yeah,
doing that? Oh, that's
yeah.
neat.
There's a summer concert series. Hot Jazz in a Cool Garden, I think it's called. I've played there a few times, and man, just thinking about it or being able to play there, yeah, it sets the hair on your arms up.
We've got to wrap it up, but folks want to find out more about you, want to download. How do they go about it? Can they go on your website and buy CDs?
Not yet, but there are things that will direct them. But definitely, my website's briaskonberg.com. If you Google Bria Trumpet, it's easier than spelling my last name, and you'll still get there one way or another.
But your website, if someone were to buy a CD, they could send it to you and you'd sign it.
Sure.
Possibility.
Yeah, I mean, if you make it easy, it's no problem, and I'll keep traveling around to make that happen.
That's right. We'll find you.
Yeah, it goes on pre-sale in a couple days, so it should be available.
New CD comes out in September?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Thank
Bria
you.
Skonberg, who just rocked us last year. We're so delighted to have her return. And if you're seeing this and didn't see the concert, you've got to start showing up. That's Jazz Tonight. Until next week when we chat with the great Paula West, I'm Mike Jacobi. I'll see you soon.
In other words,